Welcome to the pod. You're listening to What the Reality with me, Cassie Roberts, and welcome to another episode of What's the Reality on What the Reality. How are we doing? As promised, I said that Friday you guys could look forward to a What's the Reality on What the Reality, and I would be breaking down the whole Ciara, West, Amanda love triangle. Here's delivered truly on the pod because I didn't have time to spend an hour plus. As we know, the statements are live, things were confirmed, things are still being confirmed. The date is April 9th. I'm just saying that because things are still going on. Like, even something happened today or yesterday as I was writing up my outline, and it's just honestly nonstop. How are you guys doing? I'm super excited to talk about this. Obviously, if you're new to the pod, welcome. I do What's the Realities, which are honestly deep dives on topics. Sometimes they are very pop culture-esque topics. One of my most listened to topics has still and remains to be the Bethany Frankel versus Carol Radswell friendship fallout, the Phaedra Parks and Candy Burris breakdown, the Monique and Candace, the Paige DeSorbo and Craig Conover, something I launched my podcast with. So it's very fitting that I just honestly had my podcast 1 year anniversary on April 4th, and there is more summer house drama going on because it's so fitting because like I said, I launched my episode with a What's the Reality episode, and it being the Paige and Craig Conover breakdown. So now we are doing a breakdown of Ciara, Ciara Miller, Amanda Batula, and Wes Wilson, and that whole stick of everything that's going on. So yes, welcome to the episode. I still don't know if this is going to be 2 parts. It most likely will be because I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of revelations at the reunion. So part 2 would be very much further down the line. However, this podcast will just pop up as What's the Reality on the Ciara Amanda West scandal, because I want it to be easily searched for you folks out there. And I don't know if we're officially calling it Scamanda or Westgate, which I really feel like it should have been Westgate. But I'm excited to get into this episode and really just talk about all of the optics and why this is not Scandival. I don't think this even compares to Scandival, but why this is still a huge betrayal in the Bravo universe and especially in Summer House. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. I want to start it off honestly by setting the scene of who are these main player points, who are these key players in this whole mess. So obviously we have to introduce Amanda Batula first. Amanda Batula has been very much on the show since the first season. She came on the first season as, Wes Wilson. I mean, yikes. See that? Like, now it's even flowing off the tongue before I can even say it. Before it was like Amanda West, I was saying like Ciara West. Now it's flowing off the tongue because I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Obviously, she came in as Kyle Cook's booty call. That's what she was. The girls try to give her more, saying, oh my gosh, she was more than a booty call. No, this was the girl. I'm about to say West again. This was the girl Kyle Cook was calling up. Obviously, we know Kyle Cook. Kyle Cook is this bleachy, blonde, hot, 30 plus something when we first meet him, right? Obviously, he's in his 40s now, but he has BDE, big D energy in this house. He is a main cast member. I would say him and Lindsay Hubbard have the most BDE to me. And you can have BDE and be a woman. Like, it's just like, it's giving main characters. So like, I honestly would say like Summer House was like honestly casted around them. Obviously, like Kyle's like the face of Summer House. And he continues to be the face of Summer House. So he comes in, he is messing with this girl. Her name is Amanda, but he's also messing with other girls. Amanda wants to be taken serious. She's not brought on into a full-time member role until season 2. So season 2, we have Amanda Batula and Kyle in the house, and she honestly just they're so polar opposites. She wants him to stop partying. She's thinking because he's 10 years older than her, oh my gosh, he's gonna outgrow this stuff. He's not gonna be like this forever. She genuinely wants to be with him. She loves him a lot, and for some reason he keeps her around, even though he ends up cheating on her multiple times throughout the show. They have cheating scandals and everything. Fast forward to season 6, where it is revealed in the premiere that he has cheated on her. We don't know if I think he slept with someone. We do know there has been a couple of instances where he has drunkenly made out with other women that were not Amanda. I don't know if this specific one was a cheating scandal. And this is when we have to bring in our other key player, Lindsay Hubbard. We're really setting the dynamics for the folks that don't know the significance of this whole Ciara West and Amanda drama. So I'm bringing in Lindsay Hubbard because she is the one that actually breaks the news to Amanda on camera. Like, hey, you do know that Kyle has cheated on you. And this is all going on in the premiere. And for some reason, until this day, Amanda has remained very upset. Well, not until this day. It took Amanda a while to really forgive Lindsay, because Lindsay is the one that delivered this news to her regarding her relationship. Kyle apparently, now when you do some digging, because of course I have to take it up a notch, Kyle apparently prepped Amanda that this was going to be happening in the premiere. Or at least that someone from the show would be bringing up his infidelities. I don't know if he thought Lindsay wouldn't do it, because if we want to talk about dynamics, Lindsay and Kyle, there's never been anything romantic. Obviously, she was involved with Everett, his good friend, and then she went on to be involved with Carl, his other friend. But I will say Amanda and Lindsay have this very friendly sister-brother relationship. They're both Leos. Let's start there. I think they really do look out for one another. I think Lindsay also never took Amanda serious, because she would just figure, this is just my friend's fling. Like, I have no reason to take this serious, right? So Lindsay is the one that delivers this news. Obviously, when Amanda comes in, she's not on the best terms with the women. The women in the house don't really like her, because they just think she is Kyle's flavor of the month. They did not see this lasting long, and they also just saw how toxic the relationship was. They were like, why are you with this man? So she really doesn't have any friends up until we meet Paige DeSorbo, another true key player, which is what brings us up to speed to season 6, just to circle that back around. So we're back at season 6, where she finds out in the premiere. She finds out in the premiere actually from Lindsay, someone that she had been on the show with for 5+ seasons, that Kyle had cheated. Now, I think she had already her suspicions. Obviously, she lashes out on Kyle, but she directs a lot of this energy to Lindsay, which is what I would say, if you are watching reality TV as much as your girl, you start to notice behaviors. The fact that the messenger, Lindsay, is the one to really receive the repercussions for the following seasons and be blamed as a mean girl, not a girl's girl, for delivering this information on camera is always beyond me, when it's like, you still decided to get married to him. Let's fast forward to the end of season 6. At the end of season 6, Kyle does propose to Amanda, and she says yes. Even though a lot of us were like, why are you saying yes? Because didn't the season premiere, he just told you he did cheat on you and he can't remember because he was so drunk? The thing is with Amanda, and why the audience has become so stone cold with her, is because we had seen, or so over her relationship, is because we had seen so many hectic patterns. And it's like, why are you getting married to a man that is cheating on you, that you complain you don't like, that he's constantly going out, partying? There's nothing really changing in your dynamic. So you went from a season 6 premiere of, oh my gosh, she's cheating on me, to a season 6 finale of, oh my gosh, we're engaged. They get engaged reluctantly. Kyle even goes to her father, and her father doesn't even give him the okay. He's just like, whatever, dude. He does not give him his blessing. So we got that. We got those dynamics. We kind of know as an audience, I think even her friends know, why are you with this Kyle Cook guy? Obviously. Let's move on, fast forwarding to, fast forward to season 3. Guys, I was saying season 6 for all of that. That all happened in season 3. They did not wait until season 6 to get, proposed to or engaged, whatever. Season 6 is when they get married, obviously. Let's rewind, though, for a second. So that all happened in season 3. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I butchered that. They got married in season 6, though. So they did. So he proposed in season 3. Obviously, that happened. That's when all the stuff was going on. Season 6 is when they do get married. However, we're going to rewind to season 5. We're meeting Ciara Miller. Ciara Miller is the first Black woman to enter Summer House. Woman of color, person of color, period, to enter Summer House. Summer House had been a predominantly white cast. Ciara Miller is the first to really shake it up. And Ciara Miller comes in through Luke. So Luke, and Ciara's relationship is very interesting. At the time, we know Hannah Berner is on. And yeah. And so, yeah, Hannah Berner is on, and Luke and Hannah have something weird going on. They're best friends. They talk on the phone every day. However, she didn't even know Ciara was coming to the house. So when he's like, yeah, I'm bringing a friend that is a girl to the house, like, what the heck? Ciara was clearly brought on to get into it with Hannah. However, when she gets on season 5, she gets hit to Luke's antics very fast, and she's really not dealing with it. The thing is, she already is coming onto the show irritated with Luke, because she says she only hears from, like, he totally ghosted her. Like, they were seeing each other, then he totally ghosted with her, then he got with his ex, and then it's like as soon as him and his ex broke up, he hit her up again. So she recognized it for that, but they always had like this hookup relationship. But Ciara, we know Ciara, she's a very vulnerable person, she's a very hopeless romantic, so she really did think something with Luke was going to pop off. So she's already coming into the house like irritated with this man. He's texting her past 9 p.m., which she thinks is highly inappropriate. She is coming to the house on the terms of like, we are not together. And it looks like Luke is thinking he's bringing her to the house on the terms of, this is the girl I'm hooking up with. And honestly, you could tell he's trying to rile up Hannah Berner. Ciara comes in and she's like, you know what? I actually get along with Hannah and Paige and Amanda. These people you do not. And there is some sense of contention and convolution between Kyle Cook and Luke, because Kyle thinks he is toying around with Hannah Berner and Ciara and just treating the women terrible. So him and Kyle honestly get into it a couple times. So it's like throughout the show. And then obviously Carl and Proxy for standing up for Kyle. So Luke finds himself in this house with no allies, whereas Ciara has allies and she goes on to remain a main cast member since season 5. We just hit season 10 of Summer House. So we have that going on. Ciara, though, this is our issue as an audience, especially the Black audience. The Black community has had an issue with Ciara because she's constantly finding herself in these instances with these white Caucasian men. She got played on television by Austin, and the signs were clear, at least to us, and then, getting played by Wes. And so the thought of her even going back to him, she makes a comment in season 9, like, is it bad that I want to make out with Wes? Which the cameras did pick up. Obviously, it was like addressed briefly at the reunion, nothing. And then season 10, we see her like warming her heart to him. And I'm not saying she used to be like a bitch to him, but I'm just saying, like, as an audience, to watch this woman make the same mistakes. And obviously we have the Luke situation. Like, yeah, she had her boundaries up with Luke, but it's like, honestly, Ciara is constantly placing herself in these situations with these white men where they are constantly screwing her over. Luke, her senses were really tingling though with Luke, because as soon as she came in, she's recognizing that Luke's trying to, essentially play her and play up the situation with Hannah. He's telling Ciara one thing, he's telling Hannah one thing, and she didn't like that. I don't know where those spidey senses went, because she lost it with the Austin thing, and it was just really difficult as a Black audience to rally around her, especially when she is getting into it with key favorite players on the show. Lindsay Hubbard, Daniel Oliver is questionable, but Lindsay has a lot of stands. I'm one of them. She also has a lot of haters, but to see you like react so vividly and strongly over this man that we don't even see what you see in him is just kind of like, it was difficult. So when we find Ciara in this situation with Wes, we're like, here she goes again, getting herself played, especially when Ciara makes her boundaries so clear, right? Even this season, the current season, with the whole Jesse Solomon of it all, like, girl, he wouldn't have even taken it there if you had set clear boundaries. So it's like, Ciara's one of those people that definitely is learning a lot. And we've seen, I would even say, just this past episode of Summer House, we are seeing Ciara grow up the most that we have before. She's just bought her grandparents' house. And honestly, she's working on her relationship with her mom that's been very troubled. And, she actually bought her grandparents' house, which is her dad's parents, and she doesn't even tell her dad. So though Ciara does have like these character flaws, we do see her going through the most character development. I remember there was a point where I would say that there was no reason for Ciara to be on the show because I was like, I feel like I don't know her. All I know is she's a nurse and she's hot, like, and she does amazing costumes. Like, it's like there was nothing really below the surface. And so I will say Paige DeSorbo not being on this season, I think, has really let us see, you know, Ciara Miller in a different light. But that aside, I do think her boundaries and her spidey senses and just her, you know, I would just expect a little more. And it's like, it is one of those things which we're going to talk about in this episode, is how much is like race is played into this. Is like, you do kind of have to be more on guard when you are a Black woman on a predominantly white show. And so to see her in Lifetime almost think or consider giving Wes Wilson the time of day again, we're already exhausted as an audience, but I digress. We'll move on into that. So Ciara, honestly, like I said, she finds herself in multiple love triangles with white men. The whole Luke and Hannah, the whole Austin and Lindsay, and then the whole now Wes Wilson and Amanda. But I'll tell you what, she didn't deserve this last one at all. Now that we have set Ciara and Amanda's places on the show, let's bring in another one. Also, guys, I think it's very interesting to note, it shouldn't be lost on you that Ciara and Amanda are both introduced into this group through men. Okay? And I just think that's really something important to pay attention to. Not through friends, like girlfriends, men. Moving on to who the F is Wes Wilson. This is a Midwestern guy. Hey, I'm from the Midwest, so I know how the Midwest men are. Wes Wilson is the perfect example of a man that has never had access to gorgeous women, even though there's plenty in the Midwest. There's plenty of us in the Midwest. I'm just saying, because he's from the Midwest, us Midwesterns would never take that man serious. So it was so clear to me when I met Wes Wilson on my screen during season 8 that this was not the man for Ciara Miller, that this was a man that, like I said, is a perfect example of someone that does not have access to the pretty women. And now he is on this reality show and he doesn't know how to handle the attention. So you know what? He sticks his D into everything. Wes Wilson comes on through Lindsay Hubbard, actually. And Wes Wilson and Jesse Solomon are the newest cast members of season 8. Everyone thought that Jesse was going to be the one that was honestly... He was beloved because he did have a very serious story. Like, you know, he shared his cancer story. But, like, Wes Wilson, honestly, was the one that was deemed the fan favorite. You know, he was Andy's fave, all of that stuff. Wes Wilson had a certain swag from him. And I also want to talk about him appropriating Black culture. We're not appropriating it, but honestly benefiting off of it. Because, like, if you look at Wes Wilson, you're not looking at a hot guy. I mean, if that's what you're into, congratulations. But honestly, he gets hit. You're looking at him, you're seeing a swagged out guy. You're seeing a guy, this guy is cultured. This guy has a certain je ne sais quoi about him. He got a certain look. It's honestly how he puts his stuff on. I will always say that that's what makes Wes Wilson the popular man he is. But I don't think he always was popular. Yeah, he played football, but he never had access to these very beautiful women. And now that he does, he's showing all of his ass, like honestly all of it. So we meet Wes Wilson during season 8 through Lindsay Hubbard. I don't know how they meet. They know, I don't know. How they meet is always interesting. We know that Wes Wilson was in between jobs, which honestly also contributed to a lot of his insecurity with wanting to make things official with Ciara Miller, because he ain't have a job, but he was on, I think he had just gotten laid off because he was going on the show. We also know he's heavily involved in the pop culture role. Like, you know, he was a sports writer. He now works at Complex Network. He has podcasts. He was a pop culture guy, a sports guy, like a media guy. So maybe that's how he knew Lindsay, because we know Lindsay is from the PR world. And as soon as he enters the house, he instantly connects with Ciara Miller. They do have a certain vibe. It's very flirty. Yeah. And cue the saxophone, because we're already like, Ciara, we don't know if you want to do that. Because I will say throughout it, West made it astronomically. Guys, I did start drinking rosé, so I'm kind of out of it, but like I'm kind of not. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, let's talk about Summer House, but like honestly, I'm mispronouncing stuff. He's made it very clear. not try to use the big words. He's made it pretty clear that he's in no position to date right now because he's in between jobs. And then also, he just doesn't know where he'll be at. So he was like, I'm interested in Ciara, but I cannot commit to Ciara. And Ciara is making it very clear that how long is that going to take? Like, I deserve and I want a commitment. And like, also, like, his words aren't following his actions. He's taking her out on dates, but then he's saying, but we're not together. So it is very confusing, but I will say it's like hard because like you tell the women, you know, they need to follow what someone's actions is versus their words, where it's like you have that thing, you know, when someone's like shaking their head no but they're saying yes, like that's Wes Wilson. And for me that's a red flag. It's like, what do you want? And honestly, in my opinion, I knew the kind of guy Wes Wilson was as soon as I saw him on the screen because like I said, I'm from the Midwest. I know men like him. He is someone that understands the assignment. I do think a lot of people from the Midwest, because we're from the Midwest and it is smaller and you're always trying to hustle and make it, you have to have some sort of calculation in that. You have to be a little manipulative. I think he understands the opportunity that was Summer House, and he understood he didn't want to just be another man on Summer House as it had been in the past. The way they went through men on Summer House, it was a revolving door. It was a revolving underwear, right? Like, the way they went through, no men would stay on Summer House. We would have some women stay on for a season or two, but the men would probably only stick around for one season. I think Wes came on the show knowing that he needed to stick around for a long time. And I think this is something that Ciara has expressed at the reunion, that he came onto this show and he low-key used her. Okay, he used her for a secure place in the house. He's like, all right, I got to get involved romantically. I got to get involved with these friendships. I have to be the cool guy since I'm not the hot guy, right? I have to be this guy that has all these other attributes that you won't even double take my looks. And I think that's what the people from the Midwest do. I think it's very similar to people in New York. You know, you hustle, you manipulate, and you're a little calculated. Are you real? I think you're real, but I think someone like this recognizes an opportunity in front of them and they're like, I need this opportunity to stay, especially if I don't got no job. I mean, some of the most famous people and rich people in the world are calculated. I'm not saying Wes is a bad guy, that aside. I'm just saying, is there a part of me that thinks he saw Ciara, she's hot, you know, she's been involved in the drama, I need to get into the drama. I do think he liked her, but he was very aware what she wanted. And he was like, how can I use that to my best interest? And that is something that's talked about at the reunion. So that's the type of vibe I get on Wes Wilson. And then at last, it kind of proves my point when we get into season 10, that I do think everything with Wes is kind of an opportunity, a stepping stone. Calculated. He may be an opportunist at that. His debut season, he went from the most loved guy by the reunion to the most hated. And he was on mute. Okay, so we're going to get into timelines. We're going to get into timelines. I found a Reddit thread. I just take a sip of my rosé, as Lindsay Hubbard would. I found this crazy Reddit, a timeline, if you will. It is a very detailed one. It's a long one. We're about to get into some timelines. Season 8 reunion. This is summer of 2023. West is basically on mute. So we, as an audience at the end of season 8, his debut season, are under the impression that him and Ciara are going to try to make something work. By the reunion, we learn after the summer they did end up dating September through December, 3 to 4 months. Obviously, I think that the reunion filmed like January, February. So we had learned by the time the reunion had aired. So keep in mind, Summer House season 8 filmed summer 2023, right? It ends after Labor Day. That's like their last epic party. And then we get all this stuff happening, right? It premieres typically February. So it premiered February 2024, right? Season 8. And they would probably film the reunion April, May. That's just the timeline of Summer House every time. So by May, we learned that they did date after the summer, September through December. So by May, which we're watching this probably, in May, in June, they did date. It didn't work out. Homeboy didn't know how to handle all of the fame that came with being on the show. He did not expect for that, and he could not commit to Ciara in that way. Though he introduced her to the family, they had traveled to a couple of weddings together, and they had been intimate, something that Ciara really did not want to do until there was a clear exclusion on their relationship and their title. She clearly was not trying to sleep with him until she was his girlfriend. And I think something she said at the reunion breaks my heart. She was like, "You got everything out of me, and I got the bare minimum from you." Eventually, you know, the show wraps or whatever. I guess there's buzz around the new cast. He's getting a lot of attention from Bravo and the fans, and he don't know how to handle it. And so he's sticking his D into everything, like Juan Dixon from Real Housewives of Potomac, and basically breaks her heart. He does an article in New York Times. It was an article with somebody, basically said, he learned a lot and he just realized he wasn't really into it. Basically saying he really wasn't into Ciara like that. We get to the reunion. This man is on mute. Paige clocks it. And I'll never forget, Amanda was sitting by him there. Amanda was very supportive to him. Red flag, perhaps. Paige DeSorbo, there's a clip going around, was very much watching the situation, monitoring it. Paige DeSorbo has made it very clear that she's always had Ciara's back. And she just said, like, he just let the fame get to him. So season 9, we see Wes kind of go into a shell, very muted, not trying to talk or nothing, trying to lay low, right? Season 10, we see him talking again because he's like, okay, hopefully, like, it's blown over. But we see how he handles, I would say, the negative perception, and it's not well. He just shuts down. So I'm like, why would you do something dumb like hooking up with Amanda if this is how you reacted when the whole Ciara and you didn't work? I don't know. Because he does not handle the negative. He doesn't handle not being liked well at all. Like, honestly, if I'm being honest. So Amanda says something to him at this reunion, basically like, what do you feel bad for? Like, bad for what? He said, like, I feel bad. And she was like, what do you feel bad for? Like, bad for what? And then he's basically like, she's like, now you can, she said, for saying exactly what happened, now you can be goofy again or something. And I said it's pretty clear that Paige and Ciara are watching at this point. Fast forward to season 9, and I brought this up on Twitter, and I think the folks forgot, and I'm so glad I found this Reddit. I found another Reddit because I was like, there was an instance during season 9 where Amanda comes into Ciara and Paige's room, and she's like, I feel like you guys are, like, upset with me. And it was weird. And at that moment I was like, are they really friends? Or are they show friends? Because it was really weird how she's like, I feel like you guys have been, like, upset with me. Found the Reddit. This basically happened some episode during season 9. She said, dude, all this week I was thinking you guys were mad at me. I didn't do anything. I was just like, are they mad at me? Oh my gosh, guys, sorry I burped. It was the rosé. Ciara's like, I could see it. And then Paige laughs. And then Amanda said, what did I do? And then Ciara said, I got to think about it. It was a joking, like, hindsight, like, visions 2020 or whatever. But even when I saw that scene, I was just kind of like, are they all really friends? I always thought Paige and Ciara were more so friends, and Amanda and Paige were friends. And it was kind of like Ciara and Amanda were friends because of proxy of Paige, right? But obviously you're a trio. But when you have a trio, obviously there's like two people that get along more, or, like, you know what I mean? It's just natural, right? It could have honestly meant nothing then, but given what's happening now, I'm kind of glad I brought that up, because I was like, I'll never forget that weird situation. It was weird. Let's move on to April 2025. Is that when this all is starting? Yeah, let's get into some timelines. You guys keep up, because we're about to be spitting off dates. April 2025, Queens of Bravo posts about Wes and Amanda hotel rooms are next to each other. This is for a Bravo commercial. So Amanda and Wes have made Snapchats or Instagram stories basically showing each other from each other's patios. And basically, this was some sort of Bravo commercial going on. This was with Angie K, Kiki Barth, Austin Kroll. They were all in LA possibly filming for something for Bravo. It could have been for BravoCon that same year. I don't know. I don't remember seeing Wes in a BravoCon commercial or Kiki. Um, so I don't know what that was, but I know it was like a bunch of Bravo people in LA during that time. Queens of Bravo posted that. That's just an important date to know. Summer 2025, we do know Kyle is mostly away. He has started his DJ gig because Loverboy is not doing well. So he has been DJing most of the summer. And then we know that that is possibly was causing some drama within his household with Amanda because, like I said, they did get married in season 6. Fast forward to June 5th, 2025, and I remember seeing this blind item last summer, and I didn't get it until obviously we're now talking about it, but I remember seeing that because I do see these blind items, and it said this seasonal house reality star is cheating on her significant other. Honestly, whoever writes the blind items, chef's kiss, because for you to say seasonal was beautiful because I didn't know what the heck you meant with seasonal. I was like, what the heck do you mean with seasonal? It's honestly insane that I missed that they're saying this seasonal house star. House star. I always was like, dang, like, is it a housewife, like a seasonal housewife, like someone that's like, a friend of, you know what I mean? But it was right there, June 5th, 2025. And this just so happens to be the same day that Amanda posted on Instagram, broke my wedding vows. The caption was really weird because the photos were just pictures of her getting ready for a headshot, it looked like. Like, I don't know. So obviously we know July 2025, 4th of July is when Summer House starts filming, just like we know their last day of filming is Labor Day. So that's their headlines, 4th of July. And as you can see, there is some weird energy between Amanda and Kyle. They are not on the same terms because he has been touring on this DJ tour for the last couple of months. She hasn't seen him. So there are rumors at this point, as we're watching, that this season is when Ciara and Wes become cool again and try to work it out again or whatever. And I'm just like, please do not. July 21st, 2025, Kyle gets Amanda a Cartier watch. These are important. August 4th, 2025, Kyle and Amanda get into an argument over the FU, and Kyle thinks that Amanda has spent a lot of time with Wes the past year, has spent more time with him. So this is stuff we're seeing play out now during Summer House, but these are the timelines that were happening last year, obviously. And that she barely spends times with him. Obviously, Amanda's defense was like, you've been DJing. When am I supposed to spend time with you? And then when you get home, it's like you're super late, you're super lit, you're super drunk. Like, when am I supposed to talk to you? Right? And then we do know that her and Wes have actually been hanging out quite a lot. They have both been posting on their social media that they were hanging out, but we just assumed, okay, they're friends. You know what I mean? We didn't assume anything else after it because why would we? But I do think it's important. I think it's interesting that Kyle mentions this on the show to Wes. Yo, my wife has spent more time with you than she spent with me in the past couple of XYZ months or whatever. September 2025. In the City begins filming. Yeah. And that's after. It literally starts filming after the Labor Day party. Wes Wilson is actively dating during this time. During all of this time, he's been spotted with brunettes, with one girl from Chicago. This man is dating, right? Nothing of it. I think Dumois is the first one to honestly report that this man has been out here in these streets. If there's anything happening with him and Ciara, it ain't the streets of New York because he's out there, right? October 2025 is the timeline that matches that Amanda has shared with us by this time on Watch What Happens Live this year, that her and Kyle were living separately. She mentioned, I think, after, we'll get to that, but this is around the time that they apparently have been living separately and no longer together. November 2025, Wes posts that infamous picture of him, Ciara, and Amanda. And this is from BravoCon, clearly. December 2025, apparently West and Ciara are hooking up around this time. Throughout the next taglines and headlines, a Dumois claims that West has been spotted out with the same brunette he has in the past. And apparently, this brunette is from Chicago. And he had worn a tie on Watch What Happens Live that was actually customly made from her and her business. And so he's basically flaunting his relationship during this time, but was hooking up with, apparently there were some hookups going on with Ciara in December, and I like hate that for her. January 2026. So now I'm gonna stop saying 2026 like the year. I was just like trying to make it clear this is happening last year, right? Now I'm gonna just say the months because we're only in April. Amanda and Kyle announced their separation after being married for 4 years. But guys, they were together for 10 years. They were together for 10 years, but they announced their separation. They were only married for 4. But anyway, being together with someone for 10 years, insane. Did we see it coming? Of course we saw it coming, right? Of course we saw it coming. Later January 2026, Amanda and Ciara host a Galentine's Day event. So her and Ciara are clearly still very friendly. February 2nd, Amanda and Wes are spotted out in New York City. And the photo was sent to Des Moines. Yeah. Then we have February 3rd, Amanda and Ciara went on Watch What Happens Live together. Amanda makes it very clear during Watch What Happens Live that she could not have gotten through the summer without Ciara. And I'll never forget, Andy asked a question. He was like, out of the two, you and Kyle, like, who do you think will move on faster or be in another relationship faster? And she said herself, she said probably me. And he was like, but no one like from the show, right? Because at this point we're thinking something weird happened between her and Ben, like the whole Italy, like did they skinny dip? Which I still think something did happen. Like I think something happened. Like the skinny dipping story is just like a little weird. And she's like, probably me. And he's like, oh wow, like okay. So then we have February 8th. And like I said, during this Watch Women's Live, she's very like, Ciara's been super supportive of her, like, oh my gosh, like period. So then we have February 8th, the Super Bowl happens, and Ciara and Wes are spotted together, seating together. I think they're also seating with a bunch of other media people, but this is at the point where they are apparently hooking up again. And I say that to say, I'm going to bring up this video. This is from Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. And this is him confirming, once all of this stuff is literally, is this not going to let, okay. This is him confirming, once all of this is literally coming out, that he was told about this during Super Bowl. So I did want to play this video for you guys, and then I'll get back into the timeline because I feel like this video is so important.
Middle of it, because I tweeted out. So if this is one of those stories, just go nuclear, even if you're not trying to follow it. Like Wes and Wes has been hooking up with Amanda from Summer House. Wes is hooking up. They made a public announcement. Wes and Amanda are hooking up. Wes was dating a girl named Ciara, who was also in Summer House. So Wes and Amanda were cheating on Ciara. I believe I have that correct. And Ciara and Amanda, as a Summer House, they're like best friends, so they're crying to each other about all the secrets. Meanwhile, Amanda's listening to Ciara be like, "Oh, I have this in my prom, and Wes is so mean, and Wes did it." Meanwhile, she fucking Wes. So that's a big deal. That's controversy. That's gossip. Now, where it gets interesting, and how I got involved unintentionally, this story's breaking. And I'm like, at the Super Bowl, Brianna Chicken Fry told me this. She's like, "Oh, Wes is like hooking up with Amanda. It's going to be a big story." I don't even know who any of these people are. I know who Wes is, and that's it. Not because I watched Summer House, but back in the day, not too long ago, we tried to actually sign Wes and Sophie Cunningham to do a podcast on our network, and we actually got all the way to the final stages, and the contract fell through. Kicking myself for that because they're headline news right now. Sophie's agent was a pain in the ass to deal with. Whatever, not important. But I know who Wes is because of that. The other two women, I have no idea who they are. I've never watched Summer House. My understanding, like, it's just a bunch of people who have a timeshare, like Real World, basically in Montauk, where
That's basically the premise of the video. I mean, it's him ranting in the sun in Florida, probably. But yeah, so he had received that information and he didn't think anything of it. Brianna Chicken Fry had known about it. She actually made a TikTok telling, she's like, can someone please take Dave's phone and tell him to shut up? Because she didn't want to be put in the middle of it. Now she's in the middle of it. I'm like, you obviously wanted to be put in the middle of it if you told Dave. But anyway, so we have a confirmation that he knew about this at Super Bowl. And I say that's important because apparently West was supposed to be hooking up with Ciara during Super Bowl. Like there were reports saying that they were hooking up during Super Bowl weekend. Whatever. That's a very close timeline from February 8th to February 10th because I say, obviously, what February 8th was the Super Bowl. February 10th, there is a picture sent in of West and Amanda spotted out, and they apparently looked very shocked to be spotted, the picture. And this was in New York City. Fast forward February 19th, Amanda tells Marie Claire, the magazine, that she couldn't have gotten through the summer without Ciara. She's such a loyal friend, something that Amanda doesn't know. I'm sorry. Amanda's a freaking Leo. We don't claim her. She's a July Leo, but it is insane to me that she does not know what the term loyalty means. Obviously, February 22nd, Amanda and Wes were spotted again, this time at Blind Tiger. March 1st, Amanda and Wes spotted cozy together at another bar. Keep in mind the days that he's not with Ciara or Amanda, he is still out and spotted with the brunettes. They're not really together, but he is being spotted with all of these other women. Oh my gosh, my nephew just tried to scare me, you guys, and like banged on my door. I'm so glad. I hope you guys didn't hear. But yeah, keep in mind the moments when West isn't with Amanda or Ciara, he's being spotted out with this same brunette from Chicago. Okay, I just want to say that because Dumois has this whole Find My Wes Wilson on their page about his whereabouts and all the photos that were submitted and pictures that were taken at those times and probably meant nothing, but are now being submitted because of all of these overlapping timelines of everything. So now we're at February 22nd. Now we're at March 5th. Dumois posts about Amanda and West possibly hooking up. So this is the first time we're hearing about it. We know they have been spotted together a couple of times, but we didn't know they were hooking up yet. March 6th, West was then spotted with Ciara at a bar. So I'm like, this man is just really messy. March 8th, we have Amanda goes on another podcast, talks about how much she like values her friendship with Ciara. March 10th, Kyle goes on Watch What Happens Live, and one of the questions that is asked to him obviously is about the rumors that are circulating, and Kyle said like he does not think it's true, but obviously if it's true, like he would support her. He would just hope we got a heads up. You can tell there's no love lost with Amanda for Kyle. I think there's love still there. I think he still may be for her after all of this stuff blows up and they actually low-key might end up together. I don't know, I just think he really loves her, and just yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to see how Kyle has maneuvered this whole thing. Nothing but the utmost respect for Amanda, but he said that just sounds like insane. So then we have March 24th. And I thought West was very weird on Watch Happens Live because the rumors are asked, and he just basically says how Amanda is his like peep, like his girl, friend, not girlfriend, but like someone he has to show her the streets now that she's single. You mean show her the sheets, okay? That's what he was doing. He was showing her the sheets, not the streets. Because it was just a lot of word salad. It was just, he didn't really address it. And this is the episode I was talking about earlier that he went on Watch What Happens Live with that weird tie. That was from the girl that he was apparently seeing, reported by Dumois, the girl from Chicago, the brunette. That was from her line. She had made it for him, and it was like he was wearing a piece of her on live TV, confirming that their relationship was legit and official. Like, ill, Wes Wilson. Can you be more of a dog? I guess she can. March 24th as well. Amanda and Ciara were scheduled to do an Ollie vitamin Amazon live together, and they did not do it. It was split into two separate lives at the last minute. At that point, apparently Ciara hadn't reacted to any of Amanda's Instagram posts, commented, or liked them. Also, at that point, Ciara was making some cryptic posts, just about like she hates when women start acting weird, like friends start acting weird. So are we getting trinkets? That something had been going on and she was suspicious of something and she was just waiting for them to confirm it. March 27th. Um there is a sub on Reddit, or yeah, I think there's a mega thread. A mega thread. So maybe this is on Threads about basically Wes being just Amanda's boy bestie. She apparently replied in the comments on Instagram saying thank you. Like they were like, "Oh my gosh, like what are you guys talking about? Like Wes is just Amanda's boy bestie." She commented thank you. March 29th, Lindsay posts a reaction selfie with Ciara and a selfie with Ciara. So that's when she did the one, when the news, when like Amanda's telling her that Kyle apparently fell asleep at a fan's house. She used that one when she was like disgusted. Um, and she posted that on her Instagram, and then she also posted a selfie with Ciara. I think Queens of Bravo responded like, "Does this mean you are Team Ciara?" Because at this point, you guys, like the rumors are so naughty and so like, oh my gosh, is this happening? It's not giving April 1st. It's not giving April Fools. And I think she had liked the DM. They were like, "Does this mean your Team Ciara?" And she had loved it. She didn't respond, but she had loved it. So then we have, what day are we on? So then we are on April. Oh my gosh, I just lost my place. March 31st. So then we get it that Ciara's apparently given a heads up. This is obviously when Ciara is seen breaking down in front of Hermes, and this is the same day that, you know, Amanda and Kyle confirm their relationship. And not Amanda and Kyle, Amanda and Wes confirmed their relationship. So that either happened March 30th or March 31st. I think that is, yeah, this is when Amanda and them post their joint statement, which I did want to read off because I never read it off on the pod. I'm sure you guys have seen it by now. They posted this both to their Instagram stories, and it was a joint statement, which is honestly insane. It has said, "We've seen the growing online speculation, so while this is still very new, we wanted to provide some clarity. It was never our intention to purposely hide anything, given the complicated relationship dynamics involved in the scrutiny that comes with being on a reality show. We needed a little space to process things privately. Before speaking on it, we've shown up for each other as friends over the years through all the highs and lows, and what's developed recently was the last thing either of us expected. Our connection grew out of a genuine, long-standing friendship, which made it especially important for us to approach this with care. As our feelings evolved, we wanted to take time to understand exactly what we were feeling. We also recognize that this has had an impact beyond just us and never wanted our actions to cause any hurt or to be perceived as careless. We truly appreciate the understanding and respect as we navigate this." No apology whatsoever to Ciara. Nothing in sight. No addressing the sort of impact this will have on your current friendships. So I just thought the message was a load of baloney, and the fact that it was a joint statement was even beyond me. At this point, April 1st, Wes Wilson's whole roster is exposed. They're like, "Well, how can he be in a relationship? Are you guys confirming a situationship, a relationship? How can you be in a relationship when your whole roster's being exposed from Chicago to freaking Missouri, Louisiana? Like, you are everywhere. You're on the East Coast, you're in the South, you're in the West, you're in the Midwest. You have women everywhere, and you have been spotted with multiple women." So that's when the Dumois posts that, and that's why we were talking about, like, oh my gosh, so the times he's not with Amanda or Ciara, he's actually with different brunettes, and like he's making out with women. He's just doing a lot. He's very like loosely. I hope all of the women get tested regardless. So then he's a hoe. He's a man whore. So April 1st, we have Kyle getting also interviewed on the streets of New York City, which was very fitting. He's walking the dogs, and it was like a 3-part interview. What I gather from that is that he feels bad for Amanda's mental health. He thinks Wes should be the main one to be blamed. He said he's talked to Ciara the most. And honestly, Carl is a mess. That is what we received from that, honestly. Moving on to April 2nd, TMZ is reporting that Paige DeSorbo actually is involved because we were all waiting for Paige DeSorbo. Like, what is her thoughts on this? There were rumors going around that Ciara had hired a PI. Apparently, Amanda had been acting sketchy for a while, and every one time she checked her location, and apparently she waited 15 hours to respond to her, like saying like, yeah, I was with Wes. She was like with Wes super late at night. I don't know why you wouldn't turn off your Find My, but honestly that would be even more sus. And then it's like, why was Ciara checking her Find My? Clearly, she has some intuition to check, and it took her 15 hours to respond. Apparently, she had a PI, and that's where someone got pictures of them being cozy inside of Wes' apartment. But I don't know if it was someone inside the apartment or if someone they knew, one of their friends that saw them, took a picture and sent it to Ciara. Either way, she saw a photo of them looking very cozy, so she had no clue how long this was going on. Yeah. And then April 2nd, Amanda was seen at West apartment per Des Moines. Rachel Lindsay notes on the Morally Corrupt podcast that her friend spotted West at an open bar trying to buy women drinks the same night. And then I guess he like waited for Amanda after. April 3rd, Colin Amanda spotted per Page 6. Looks like a dog swap. And then we have Paige and Hannah also addressing it because we all were really waiting. And Paige and Hannah made it clear that Ciara is their real friend outside of this reality TV stuff. And that's that. So that's really the whole timeline. Obviously, I think some timelines were overlapping. I don't think it was insane for Kyle to even suspect that she had been hanging out with Wes a little bit too much for his liking. I think there was timeline and overlaps of Wes' roster and him sleeping with women from different coasts, and essentially I think there was some overlaps for sure. I think that he was double dipping, triple dipping in multiple women's pots. And like I said, I think they should all get tested. I want to bring you up to speed because now this all has happened in literally last week, which is still like the early April. Now we're it's April 9th. The day is Ciara just did the red carpet. She's been spotted at the red carpets and stuff. She's received a ton of support from the Bravo Labs, and she actually was just doing the Euphoria red carpet, asking some of the celebrities questions. She was asking Sydney Sweeney a question. Keep in mind, Euphoria has a similar storyline that is going on currently about a friend stealing a best friend's ex-boyfriend. And Ciara did throw shade. She said, I feel like, what do you do in that situation? I feel like you ought to get married at that point. Like, it better be worth it. And Sydney was like, oh yeah, you oughta. Ciara looked at the camera right in the face and was like, right? Like, it was actually really funny. You guys have to look it up. The gag is whoever PR team now is basically saying that they are not letting the naysayers affect them. And by the people, I mean Amanda and Wes are not letting the naysayers affect their relationship, and that they are still going strong. It was something weird in TMZ. Like, it's so weird. Apparently at this point, Wes has not reached out to anyone in the cast. I don't even think he's reached out to Kyle. He apparently thinks that he'll survive because Tom Sandoval has went on to the Traitors and he has been fine. This is nothing to the level of Traitors, and it's just so clear that he's trying to, stay up and be on the come up and get famous. I want to move into how the race optics get into this. Was it really a friend betrayal? And then we're gonna close it out. So the race optics are so clear because I just think as a Black woman, Ciara, has made it clear of her intentions with Wes, and it's a narrative that's the tale as time is told. I compare this to even Travis Kelce. Don't fight me on this, but I honestly compare this to the whole Travis Kelce, Kayla Nicole, Taylor Swift situation. He was dating Kayla Nicole for years. for years, yeah, they were on and off once. I think they broke up once and then he wanted that old thing back. For years, he never proposed to her. He dated Taylor Swift for 1 or 2 years. I think it was 2 years, and proposed to her instantly, which I just honestly think is interesting. I compare it to that because Wes Wilson was so quick to not claim Ciara in that New York Times article after the summer ended. He was quick to want to live a hot boy summer, even though he had gotten a taste of Ciara, though she had made it pretty clear of her intentions and what she wanted. But as soon as there's any inkling that there is a situationship going on with Amanda, he is that quick to make a joint statement. Whereas with Ciara, he really cowered out of it. And you have to talk about race optics when it does come to that, because constantly as Black women, we are constantly overlooked. We are constantly lusted out after, and we are constantly, as Ciara put in the best words, wanting to be experienced. You don't want a true relationship. You fetishize about us. And we see this constantly in Summer House, Jesse Solomon just wanting to make out with her. And the only reason Wes is activated, in the words of Lindsay, is because his friend is possibly interested in someone that he has had a fling with. And then the thing is, he only claims Ciara as his ex-girlfriend when Jesse gets involved. Before that, it's just someone he dated. He's never used the term ex-girlfriend, right? And it's just, you have to talk about race when it comes to that. He's so quick, like I said, to put out a joint statement with Amanda and defending whatever they have, but never wanted to defend what he had with Ciara, and honestly just lead with a humble prideness, not even prideness, a humble, approach when it came to the ending of that. And I just think Black women are always getting the shorter end of the stick, and that is just one of the most prevalent things that I've seen played out. Obviously, when we talk about the race optics as well, it's like, why are you so quick to commit to a white woman versus a Black woman? A Black woman that is obviously too good for you. You just have to. I feel like the people are like, let's not make it about race. Why are you so quick to claim this situationship with Amanda, but you didn't even want to claim going there with Ciara? And the thing is you're still out here in these streets. We have timelines, we have photos submitted of you being out here in these streets, but you're so quick to defend whatever is blossoming between you and Amanda, but you could not defend what you had going on with Ciara. I hope I don't have to dumb it down for the folks. I hope people aren't committed to misunderstanding me, but let's not get it twisted. There's a clear direction that is going on here with Wes and his moves. He sees Amanda as someone that he is able to settle down with and clear up the rumors quickly and defend and put out a joint statement with, because this is a white woman versus a Black woman. What, Ciara got it. She can handle it. This is a Black woman. We can handle more. And that is something that we've been told our whole lives. It's like, we're tough enough to handle it. And it's like, you know what? You could have extended the courtesy to Ciara. Honestly, it shows me also with the race optics of the fact that you guys didn't even want to mention Ciara in your post. Say her name at least, right? Because at the end of the day, she was a friend of both of you. Moving on to the friend betrayal. Is this a friend betrayal? Were Amanda and Ciara friends? Are they friends? I personally think they are friends. Do I think they are as close as friends as her and Paige DeSorbo? No. As her and Mia? No. But I do think there should have been some sort of respect there when it comes to, being interested in your friend's ex-boyfriend, if that's what we're calling Wes, or your friend's ex. At the end of the day, Amanda was well aware of how Ciara felt about Wes Wilson, right? She was well aware. She has let Ciara cry on her shoulder, vice versa. You have cried on her shoulder about Kyle Cook and you think you don't deserve much. Ciara has uplifted you multiple times. We can also talk about race optics, how Black women are constantly having to uplift people, but no one's there to uplift us. And I just feel like when we talk about Amanda, this is completely a friend betrayal. I actually would say this is kind of a worse friend betrayal in terms of Scandival, because I actually saw the friendship between Amanda and Ciara. When I think about Scandival, like, yes, Rachel and Ariana were cool, but I don't know if I would even say they were best friends. It felt like Rachel was just lost and she was constantly looking to be uplifted by anyone. But Ciara has offered you a place to stay. You are in on her goals. She is telling you to get your business started, your bikini started. She is the one that is helping you create an exit plan from your narcissist, alcoholic husband, Kyle Cook. She is there for you. Now, whether you guys hang out past filming or not on the show, it is giving you guys are friends. I don't think they hung out that much. Not during filming, but I don't know. We don't know. Is this a friend betrayal though? Yes. And for the people that are saying, well, Ciara and Wes weren't even together, it doesn't matter. This woman and man have been inside of each other. And for my friend, my good friend, to now want to be inside of this man and not tell me is honestly beside me. And it's disgusting. I think I'm more worried. We want to talk about mental health. Kyle's worried about Amanda's mental health. Oh my gosh, like she's getting so much. I don't think anyone should be getting no death threats. I don't think nobody should be getting no, like, I just think that's always extreme. Like the people always do too much when they do that. Everybody is human. Everybody makes mistakes. I don't think nobody should be getting no death threats. But at the end of the day, I fear for Ciara's mental health more than I fear for Amanda's, because at the end of the day, Amanda will be fine. That is a white woman in America. Wes will be fine. That is a white man in America. Ciara Miller is now going to have to even operate at a higher guard up. She already had a guard up when it came to entertaining men in her life. Now she has to have a guard up with women in her life. And so I fear for her mental health in knowing, are these people around me genuine? Especially when a previous episode, very previous, she is talking about how hard it is to navigate these white relationships being on a white show. And now she's like, I have to learn to let my guard down if I want white people to be in my life. And the first thing they do is screw her over. So I'm really glad Paige DeSorbo has spoken out and say Ciara's our true friend and we have her true back. There were rumors that Paige was the one that hired the PI. I don't know if that was true, but it just shows more validity in what Ciara was saying in that episode, just about like how it is so much more difficult for a Black woman to operate in today, because like you do have to constantly have your guard up. She just spent this whole season letting her guard down. Now that stuff about to go right back up because she just got betrayed by her friend. What do I think is the worst betrayal? A friend betrayal, especially to this magnitude. My final thoughts, obviously don't send death threats to Amanda and Wes. The girls that are following Wes, why are you following him? No, I don't want Amanda to get into a terrible space. Yes, I understand she has terrible mental health, but let's be real. We also know Ciara has terrible mental health. So I don't know. I just feel like this whole like we already know she struggled with mental health. So does Ciara. So it's like I can't imagine what this is doing to her mental health. She seems to be in a better place right now. She's getting all of the love by the Bravo Labs, even the people, the naysayers. I was one of Ciara Miller's naysayers. Just was like, girl, I want more for you. I am sick of you getting played by the white men. I think if anything, this needed to happen to Ciara Miller. It's unfortunate that it's a friend betrayal as well, but it really goes as the saying goes, like God will really remove people from you. You will ask them to like give me a clear sign and he will show you a clear sign and a clear path. I think this needed to happen for her to leave Wes Wilson alone for good, because I cannot watch multiple seasons of her and this going back with Wes Wilson, because I genuinely feel like if this didn't happen, she would still be messing with him. She kind of needed this push, and it was a push for the universe, the baby Jesus, the God. And I think this just needed to happen. Obviously, it's unfortunate. Where does Summer House go from now? The reunion, Demoy was reporting it was going to be filming April 15th. Lindsay has debunked that, saying that they're not filming in April. I do know Andy did tweet, let's get the questions together, obviously when the whole news was breaking. I do think that they're probably going to be filming soon. Obviously, we have In the City coming up, so we're going to see the end of Amanda and Kyle play out, right? Or, you know, them living separately and discussing the option of divorce. We actually see a scene of her and Wes hanging out a couple times. I think if anything, this is definitely going to spill into Summer House and In the City. So we're going to see all of that. I don't think they're picking cameras back up, but if they were to, I think it would more so be so people tune into In the City, the spinoff. So I don't think Summer House cameras are going to pick up, but I think In the City cameras are going to pick up, and then it's going to be like a whole thing, because Ciara's not even on In the City. But will Ciara return to Summer House? If I were Ciara, I wouldn't. I mean, unless your people are coming back, Mia and KJ, and that's your only people. I don't know how Summer House goes forward with this. It's going to be a lot of hostility in that environment. Definitely, this is greenlit In the City second season, but I don't know how everyone involved parties are going to return to Summer House next season. I can honestly see Ciara returning. I can see Wes returning, especially because him and Jesse are supposed to lead the new nation of and the new younger generation on Summer House. But I don't know if I see Ciara and Amanda returning and coexisting in that house. Because, like I said, men will be men. This is supposed to be your friend. But that was your breakdown. I hope it was everything you guys were looking for. My thoughts, the timelines, because honey, it gets sticky. And like I said, there might be a part two with the revelations that we find out from the reunion, and obviously if stuff still comes out. Is now being reported that they're, still together or whatever. And you know what? Ciara will thrive at the end of the day. She will be fine. Amanda will be fine. Wes will be fine. But I'm most concerned about Ciara Miller and her mental health, and how she's going to navigate this world in forming friendships and relationships. And I hope she does get her happy ending. Thanks so much for listening. Until the next time.